going on, everyone? Welcome to the video. We're talking about the iPhone 13, and you know I'm going to keep it real with you. When I first saw Apple introduce this phone, I thought to myself, man, that's an incremental update if I've ever seen one. I think I was watching on my iPad, and I legit said, come on, Tim, you could have named that phone the iPhone 12s. But shortly after, an expression popped into my head, and the expression was, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Apple took that same expression and applied it to the 13. They essentially looked at the iPhone 12 and basically gave it a brighter display, smaller notch, boosted performance, slightly bigger battery, upgraded cameras, doubled the base storage, and kept all of it at the same price as last year's iPhone 12. And thus, the iPhone 13 was born. Every year, it seems like Apple is now taking things away from the unboxing experience. Last year, it was the 5-watt charging brick, and this year, it was the plastic wrap around the box. And I get it. Apple says that they're saving the environment by doing so. I understand, right? It's like, take away the plastic wrap around the box and you reduce plastic use. I get it, but it's like, bro, come on. Can I at least have the 5-watt charging brick back then? I feel like the plastic wrap is probably making more of an environmental impact than just not giving me a charger. I don't know. I'm still kind of salty about that. Can you tell? Anyways, I can't help you put the plastic wrap back on your box, but today's video sponsor can help you if you're looking for a charging solution. So this is the Anker Nano Pro, and as you can tell, it resembles the old 5-watt charging brick that used to come in the box. But here's what's dope about it. It has a USB-C charging port, meaning it's going to work with the cable that's inside your box right now, all while charging at 20-watt speeds and being 50% smaller than the 20-watt charger that is offered by Apple. Oh, and I think my favorite part is that it comes in 4 dope colors: white, black, purple, although it's more of like a lavender, it looks sick, and a super dope sky blue that just happens to match this year's Sierra Blue iPhone 13 Pro. So, if you're looking for a new charger, hit the link in the description of this video, and Anker, thank you for sponsoring this video. I said this was an incremental update because the iPhone 13 looks and feels a lot like last year's iPhone 12. I mean, honestly, if you didn't know off the top of your head that the iPhone 13 has diagonally mounted camera lenses, you would probably have a hard time telling the 12 and 13 apart. The iPhone 13 is also slightly thicker and ever so slightly heavier because it's housing a bigger battery. And of course, the phone is still water and dust resistant. The display is brighter on the 13, and I know what you're thinking, is it actually noticeable? In person, yes. I'm not sure if it's going to show up over camera, but if you were to go in person and put a 13 next to a 12, crank them both up to max brightness, you can definitely tell the 13 has a brighter display. And guess what? Apple made the notch 20% smaller this year. And I know what you might be thinking. Man, they must have really revolutionized Face ID in order to make the notch 20% smaller. Good on Apple. No. They just kind of took the earpiece and they moved it to the top of the notch. So it's in its own little cutout at the top of the screen. And they just took the rest of the Face ID components and they just kind of smushed them all together. And that was about it. Now, I was kind of hoping Apple would take advantage of the extra space, but they didn't. You still have the clock on the top left hand of the display, and you still have your connectivity symbols like Wi-Fi, LTE, and a battery bar on the top right. I personally was really hoping to see battery percentage return, but no dice on that one. Everything else from the display department is essentially the same between 12 and 13, including the same 60 Hz refresh rate. So if you wanted a higher refresh rate, ProMotion essentially, you'd have to upgrade to the 13 Pro. That is exclusive at least for this year. New iPhones means new chip. New chip means better performance. But honestly, I have not been concerned about performance whenever it comes to flagship smartphones, both Android and iOS, for several years now. Phones have been performing really well, and they just get better each year. What I've been more impressed about with the iPhone 13 line is the combination of the A15 chip and the slightly larger batteries, which have improved the battery life throughout the entire line this year. On days where I'm using the phone heavily, like consistently watching YouTube videos, consistently streaming my favorite movies and TV shows, GPS navigation, I'm just on the phone all day, I'm getting 7 to 7.5 hours of screen on time with about 15 to 20% battery life left, which is really good. Now on lighter use days, I have no problem getting through the whole day and even some of the next day without not charging the phone. There have been multiple times where I've gone at least 2 days without plugging the phone in on charge. That's really impressive. And I'm not trying to give too much away here, but the battery life on the 13 Pros are even better. So 2021 iPhones, really good battery life. I think we can all agree that the biggest upgrade to the 13 was the improved cameras. And no, I'm not talking about all the hilarious memes that are out there making fun of the new diagonal camera lenses. Now, those memes are hilarious, but there is actually a reason behind it. And that's because the 13 is borrowing the wide and ultra wide angle lens from last year's 12 Pro Max. It's also taking the sensor shift stabilization that was exclusive to that model. Now, at the time, those lenses were the biggest ever made. And Apple knows this. So instead of stacking them on top of each other, boom, we have a diagonal camera system. Now, to think that an entry-level iPhone is now rocking the pro-grade camera system from 2020, that's actually super dope. One thing I've also really liked about Apple is that while they continuously improve camera hardware, they're also working to improve their camera software. And we've seen this with plenty of different examples, right? We've seen live photos, portrait photos, deep fusion, Pro RAW. I mean, we've seen a whole bunch of different examples. And this year, the big thing is photographic styles. Photographic styles are essentially filters that prioritize the skin tone of a subject to keep it looking as natural as possible while changing the whole look and feel of your photos. I've had a lot of fun testing these. By far, my favorite one has been rich contrast mode. Basically, since I found it, I haven't turned it off. I'm taking all my photos in rich contrast mode, and it's super dope. Photographic styles are sick. Apple also took video to the next level by introducing cinematic mode. Cinematic mode is essentially taking a video that has adjustable depth of field based on multiple subjects being in one shot. And the software itself is actually smart enough to detect whenever one subject looks towards the lens of the camera while another looks away, and it can pan focus to the subject that is looking in the direction of the lens. It's actually super dope. And the best part is, if you don't necessarily capture the video that you're looking for the first time, you can go back and edit the depth of field changes after the fact. That's also super dope. Something like this will definitely bring out a lot of creative sides in a lot of people, especially if you're into filmmaking or videography. It definitely improved my creative side. The only thing about my creative side is it sucks. And there's no amount of hardware or software that can fix that. So that's it. That's everything new with the iPhone 13. It kind of started out with incremental update type vibes, and it ended up being a pretty good example of just how awesome entry-level iPhones are becoming. I mean, this phone got a solid amount of updates, all while keeping the same price as last year, including the super dope pink color. I kind of wish Apple would have made this for the Pro line. I'm a Pro Max user, but if Apple would have made a Pro Max in pink, I would have had a serious color choice dilemma between pink and Sierra Blue. Now again, this starts at $829 and the Mini starts at $729. And the Mini is essentially the same phone, just with a smaller size display and a smaller size battery. But you know me, I also want to hear from you. So let me know if you want to buy a 13, or maybe you already own a 13 and you want to tell me something that you really like about it. Hit me up in the comments section. And if you haven't subscribed by now, come on, bro. Just join us. Join us over here at the Tech Bros. You know we'd love to have you. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Now, those lenses at the time were the biggest ones. Apple couldn't stack them on top of each other, so boom, diagonal camera lenses. Oh shoot, I forgot the last part.